Put down those cards.
Fortune teller!
Cards mean different things at different times.
Do you know anything about tarot cards?
Oh, a crystal ball.
Gather around, children.
Listen to the mystic.
Journey.
Podcast.
I'm no mystic.
Welcome to Tarot Tangents. This is our shorter segment where we hit on higher level topics about anything and everything tarot. If you've got questions, stories, or just a good old rant you'd like to share, send it into tangents@mysticfooltarot.com for a chance to be featured. What are we talking about today, Anna?
Oh, man. Well, until someone sends us a rant, which I would love to hear, we're talking about the Fool's Journey. So, Ruth, do you know where the Fool's Journey, the phrase, comes from?
I know everything about the Fool's Journey. I am so excited to be talking about this topic, and I am excited to hear all of it again and bring our listeners up to speed. So take it away, Anna.
Heck yeah. Okay, so for those who don't know, that specific phrase is first seen in print in Eden Gray's book, A Complete Guide to the Tarot. While the idea of the Fool experiencing each of the major arcana cards as moments of growth was prevalent in tarot, the specific phrase, the Fool's Journey, wasn't around until her book in 1970. So the Fool's Journey is the narrative arc of the Fool traveling through the other major arcana cards until they reach the final card, the World. The Fool's progression through the majors is a metaphor for how we experience life. We are all the Fool, the protagonists of our lives, and each of the major arcana cards represents a significant event or lesson or archetype that we encounter in life. Or maybe we eventually embody that archetype. And every card presents an opportunity for personal growth and development. Love that. It sounds so nice on the surface until you do it, right?
Truly does.
Yeah, and when we reach the World card, it's a symbol of, completion.
Yay, we did it.
It's like, yay, we did it, right? So, Ruth, what are your thoughts on the Fool's Journey? You said you love it. You said that you know everything about it. I want to hear your thoughts.
I love the Fool's Journey. I am a mega fan of the concept, and also a mega fan of Eden Gray. She is a name that you will see pop up a lot in tarot history. Because tarot kind of went through a renaissance in the 70s and the 60s, and especially in big cities like New York. She was basically one of the main characters in charge of fueling that renaissance for that era. She owned a mystical shop in New York and would sell tarot cards. It wasn't quite too common for people to sell guidebooks or books on tarot or how to read tarot at the time. So she realized that a lot of her customer base would be coming back and asking questions or would be hesitant to purchase a tarot deck or anything, mystical from her because they didn't have the knowledge to use it. So she started putting together a bunch of classes that people would take. And so she had her own little group in New York, and it was super popular, and then she got so popular that she started reading books and that sort of thing. But yeah, super cool lady if you want to give her a Google.
She was also an actress, so you could probably see her if you could get your hands on...
Yeah,
she has an IMDb page. I mean, she was an actress in the 30s or something, 20 or 30s. But yeah, so she's an actress, and if you want to see her on the big screen, you could probably find a few of her movies.
Let's watch it and fangirl.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, and the arc of the Fool's Journey is a pretty common story in the gist of, history.
Yes, 100%.
The general gist of the journey occurs in many different cultural traditions. The stories of mystical journeys include, the Hawaiian legend of the fire goddess Pele and her journey into hell to rescue her captured sister. She meets a lot of the similar archetypes along that journey. And then there's the journey of the dead souls, and so many more. The idea of a mystical journey, somebody's mystical journey, is nothing new. But I was super stoked when I first learned about the Fool's Journey because it's, in my opinion, the best way to get to know each card. And I feel like it should be mandatory reading for all beginner readers just solely for their own benefit. I feel like I was trying to learn everything super rigidly and study every card meaning and that sort of thing. But I'm a creative person. I connect more to stories and that sort of thing. So once I read the whole book, I think I read Noel Eastwood's book on it. There's a lot of books on it, but Noel Eastwood's my favorite. I was like, oh shit, I understand. Okay, cool, I can do it. So yeah, I highly suggest diving into this if you're not familiar.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, it definitely helped me too to kind of view it as a story and a narrative rather than like learning the strict individual meanings of each card, especially because sometimes some of them are just a list of adjectives and you're like, that's not helpful.
No, it's not.
It doesn't put anything into context.
What of the flourish? Where's the flourish?
Where's the flourish? Where's the story, the drama, the acting? So the Fool's Journey is also similar to the hero's journey in narrative studies. You may have heard that phrase in an English class or a literature class at some point. And the hero's journey was popularized by Joseph Campbell, and it's kind of a template or pattern that many stories may follow where the protagonist leaves the familiar, encounters various trials, and then comes back a changed person. There is some criticism of the hero's journey in the literature world because it kind of removes a lot of cultural nuances from specific myths, and it was popularized during a time when women had even less of the main character energy and opportunities than they do today.
Yeah, I notice a lot of the posts I read these days, they refer to the fool as she to kind of make up for a lot of it, to kind of recenter,
Yep, 100%.
Female gender perspective.
Exactly. So that is like the plus side of the Major Arcana and the Fool is that it can evolve to avoid these pitfalls and to keep it updated. It can be genderless, it can be female, it can be male. It doesn't matter. The Fool is you and who you are on your journey in life. I will say I did have a little bit of beef with the way the journey actually seems so linear. When I first read it, it's like, oh, you're traveling through each of these. And I was like, when is the last time you could reliably go, yes, today I'm in my high priestess phase, so I know for sure I'll soon be in like my empress phase because that's what's next. Like,
I just had my tower moment, but what's after the tower? The star.
Exactly.
It sounds like a bad motivational, speech.
That'll be next up on our bad merch website. Poorly done tarot motivation posters. But it's still super helpful, like the structure of it, if you're trying to learn it. And actually, Ruth, I think you had like a nice little summary of kind of, at least even to like help with because it's a lot of cards.
Yeah.
You've got the Fool, and then you have the other 21 cards. What were the like stages that you had mentioned to me earlier?
Yeah, so there's 3 different stages of this story that kind of you can take it to break it down even further. So the first stage is the personal journey, the personal story, and that's card 1 through 7. And then you have the world section of the story, which is 8 through 14, those cards. And then the final stage is the universe, which is card 15 to 21.
Big energy.
Big energy.
That universe section, big energy. Love that. Yeah, I mean, that super helped me too, because it also kind of helps with, you can go through multiple cycles, quote unquote, what I'll call cycles of learning and growth throughout life and in different ways. And like just based on my personal life experience, obviously we just said it's like not linear. Would be great if it was. But we may find it like you revisit a lesson several times, or maybe like you've kind of evolved out of a lesson in the personal aspect, but now you're like moving into like, what does this look like in the world at large as I learn this lesson again?
Yeah.
And maybe you go through some stuff faster or slower. I kind of like to think of the Fool as like a little metal ball in a pinball machine.
Ooh.
And it kind of like drops in from the top and it can bounce around. So it may bounce from like emperor to justice to magician.
That's a good way of describing it.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it's not always a linear travel. It's not like a maze where you're like, cool, I made it to the end. We're done. Peace out. But like thinking of it like, okay, cool. I am the pinball. And I am traveling through these different areas and I might bounce between a few things. There was definitely a month in my life when I just kept getting like tower and death, like
death and rebirth, death and rebirth,
death and rebirth over and over. Just like, it's all about like, that's just your personal journey. And a way to help understand it is like when you get those cards are a part of a chapter in your life, but you can move between them in any different which way, which makes it so unique. It means it's really going to be like unique to your story. And you can also reach the world many times in your life. I think most people kind of know that. We think of some of the like traditional stuff like I graduated college or like I got a promotion could be like examples of, a physical manifestation of completion or the world. It's not like, hey, life's over. You gonna die now. You figured it out. It's not like, hey, we're done. So obviously like completion will be unique to each person and their individual growth. And you may reach it several times many times. It may look different every time. But yeah, the Fool's Journey is, highly recommended if you're trying to figure out how to learn the Major Arcana, or if you're feeling like overwhelmed, thinking of it like a story or a narrative.
Yeah, it's definitely another tool in your toolbox to add. That's kind of the key to learning tarot, I think. It's just like, it's not necessarily sitting down and memorizing every single card and remembering and getting it perfect every time. It's definitely, I think, more helpful if you have tools like this and numerology and that sort of thing in your toolbox, so that you can like sit down in front of some cards and let your vibes flow and think, oh yeah, I remember this section of the story. I remember when he met, the High Priestess and learned all about, divine energy. And maybe it's time for me to tap into my divine energy.
It's time. Tap in.
Highly suggest. Well, thanks for sharing, Hannah. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. If you're a fan of the podcast, we need you to do this so we can find new fans. Be sure to tell your friends and follow us on all socials. Our handles are Sweet Death Inc. and Mystic Fool Tarot on all platforms. See you later.